Welcome back to Literally First Class. If you didn't notice, we have a little bit of a different setup today, which is super exciting. It's the first time we're recording in our studio with Follow Up Media, our new production house. So I'm really excited to be here. And it's definitely a bit different being in front of the camera again. I've done episodes with other people in their studios. Back when Jake launched his book, Let Love In, I think this was 2 years ago, we did a tour in Vegas. And I think collectively between 5 to 6 entrepreneurs, we filmed about 25 episodes in 3 days, which was amazing. Everyone just was swapping and it was so much fun. But today I'm coming at you live from the studio. I'm really excited to be here because one of my goals with this move is to show up on YouTube. You can watch the whole episode now on YouTube after this is uploaded. And we might have some more guests coming to you in the near future. Today, I'm going to be answering a question that comes from Christine Williams from our Somatic Success Society Facebook group, which, by the way, I would recommend getting in there ASAP. It's a free community for women in business, in leadership, female founders. And inside that group, I often will post, hey, like, what questions do you have for me? So Christine brings today's question, which is, how do you find clients in the penthouse instead of the basement? How do you align the high-end clients that are fun to coach, take action, and get results? The first thing I'm going to say is that you have to be aware of your messaging. If you're talking about burnout and struggle and overwhelm and busyness and being frazzled and stressed the fuck out, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to attract clients that are like, yes, that's me. But sometimes they are so burned out, so overwhelmed, so stressed, so in chaos that they can't even commit to helping themselves, right? So that's the first thing, is to take a look at your messaging and be very mindful of who you're talking to, which brings me to the second part of the messaging. I want you to go check out, I have a podcast episode and I'll have them drop it here in the show notes, but the episode is about how to stop mean girl marketing and shame-based selling and to speak to desired outcomes and results, because don't forget, a higher level client already knows that it's not a matter of if they're successful, it's a matter of when they're successful. Okay, so you have to speak to the desire, the outcome, and the higher level thinking, because otherwise, again, you're going to attract people that are in what? A victim to their circumstance. Okay, number 3, the 4 islands of consciousness. And I love this conversation because when you can start to identify a potential client in this filter, we'll call it, you'll be able to say, okay, I'm going to just pay attention to the red flags and I'm not going to take this client on, or I'm going to refer them out to somebody. I know that someone else can maybe better serve them based on where they're starting or the mindset that they're in, or I might recommend some free resources to begin with, and they can kind of prove that they're ready to themselves and to you, because you're not going to want to take a client like that on. Okay, the 4 states of consciousness, 4 islands of consciousness. We're going to start at the lowest frequency, which is what? Victim consciousness. Victim. This is happening to me. People that are in that mindset have a really hard time finding themselves out of the paper bag that they're in. Everything is like everybody else's fault. Everything is, other people's issue. It's their circumstances they're blaming. They've got the finger pointed out here because it's happening to them. Therefore, they can't be responsible in any way, shape, or form. But also, they're in a very powerless stance, meaning they have a hard time being empowered and knowing that they have a choice at all to change their circumstances, change their outcome, and take responsibility for how that's showing up in their life. Okay. Then we move a level up. That is going to be victor consciousness. Victor consciousness, this is happening for me. This is the start of where you see a lot of people that have done some personal development on themselves or a decent amount of work on themselves. They're like, man, this situation sucks, but I can actually see how this is for me. I can actually see that there's a lesson here. There's something for me to learn, that I can take something from this, that I can change something, that I can be in an empowered state and I can actually use this despite it being really shitty, and I can grow from this. So that's victor consciousness. Then we move up a level. Vessel consciousness. This is where it's happening as me, right? Or it's happening through me. It's happening through me in an embodiment standpoint. And so what happens here is you'll see a lot of people that have, they're more connected to themselves. They've done some level of spiritual development. They have probably a good baseline of faith here, right? They understand that everything is a mirror, that everything that's showing up in their reality is also related and connected to them somehow, that they are fully in control of most things, that they can actually, take things, change things. They have this level of confidence and empowerment around the direction and the actions that they take. You want to work with clients that are somewhere between victor and vessel consciousness, right? It's happening for me. They're going to take responsibility with victor, and vessel, it's happening through me. Like, I can see this from a level of embodiment standpoint. So those are really beautiful action takers. And if you can differentiate potential clients that are in any of those states, then you're going to do a better job at pre-vetting who you get to work with. And you're also going to do a better job at speaking to the client that you actually want to attract. The last and final one, and I'll say that we only really get glimpses and tastes of this state of consciousness, is verity consciousness. It is I am, right? It's happening as me. It's happening as oneness, union, Christ-like consciousness. That's more like an enlightened state. Most people don't stay there because guess what? We're humans and we are having this nervous system experience. So we'll get glimpses of that. You might touch into that through meditation, through any kind of clearing work, through releasing trauma. Again, you'll have moments where you touch into that, but it's not going to be something that you're really staying with and staying connected to all the time. That's just not realistic. But if you can find clients in the middle states, that's going to be ideal. Again, it's happening for me and it's happening through me so that they have some level of embodiment. And the way that you can start to ask these questions is then by making sure you pre-vet better. So before someone gets on a call, you can have them answer a few questions. It can be questions such as, who have you worked with in the past? Or what kind of personal development programs have you done before? What that tells me is that they've invested, period. I want to know that they've invested in their growth. I want to know that they have some sort of baseline for healing. I want to know that they're not coming to me like brand spanking new to the world of personal development because I'm not that coach for them. I work with clients that are already, they already have a certain level of resiliency. They're already growth minded and they're already successful. They just want to be more successful. And so if I want to speak to that empowered person, they already are reading the books. They already have invested. I don't need to bring them over that objection, if you will, because I don't need to reframe things. They already know the importance of that, right? So pre-vetting them with questions is super helpful. I also ask the question, and this one is something I didn't think to ask until a few years later after cycling through a couple hundred clients and realizing, interesting, like I'm seeing some patterns here. The question is, how did your last coaching relationship end? If you notice that they are prone to cancel culture, falling outs, blaming other people, lack of responsibility for their results and how they show up to containers and to coaching situations, you're probably not going to want to coach that person unless they've done some serious healing work on themselves or really taken a really deep look at themselves in the mirror because they simply are still in that victim consciousness, right? And guess what? If they've done it to a numerous amount of other people, then you might be next. And you don't want to bring people into group programs that really poison the whole well. Like just a drop in the bucket is all it takes. And you also don't want to work with people that just blame everybody else for their lack of effort maybe or results. I'll tell you right now, I am like one of the best clients that coaches can ever work with and for because I always get what I came for because I decided to. I may not sign up for a program and get exactly the result I thought I was going to get. However, I always get what I came for, maybe unknowingly. So that's not to say I haven't bought programs that didn't really pan out in the end. Like I didn't really get that exact result that I thought I was buying into, but I got something better or I got something different that I didn't know I needed and it worked out perfectly. And if I can see that, I'm in victor consciousness, right? Because it's happening for me. I always get what I came for because I decided to. So I would ask questions, 3 to 5 questions before they get on a call with you or in an application that help you decide, is this client ready for this level of work? Do they take responsibility for their outcomes? Are they in creation of co-creating together? And what does that look like? And you can reverse engineer everything you want in a client from the top down and put those into your questions. So another example, that I'll talk about is making those investments, right? Like I'm asking questions like, what have you invested in before? And usually there's like a whole list, right? Because they're growth minded. And then they're telling me, oh, well, I've invested 25K here and I've invested 100K here and I've invested 50K there. And that's important because I don't want to be their first big high ticket investment, right? And I'm not saying that high ticket always means high end clients. You can certainly serve high end clients in a lower ticket membership, to be clear. My product suite happens to be more high ticket. We don't really have any low ticket. In fact, some of our other lower ticket stuff is baked into the higher ticket stuff. So when you come into our world, like Apex Academy, or our one-on-one programs, you get access to other bonus material as a pro bono thing. So yeah, I mean, I think that kind of covers everything I might say around that. And then you have to do the money mindset work to speak the price that you have yet to be paid, to see what happens in your nervous system as you go to speak it. One of my clients specifically came to me and she was like, I have to go speak to 620 offices to do this private funding. I've never done fundraising before. And I was like, cool, I got you. We're going to be good. So she walks me through her whole pitch. And I said, how do you feel in your body as you're doing that? And from there, we did some of the rewiring and the somatic work so that she could sit in herself, take a seat in herself. And it was much more about who she was being rather than what she was saying, because I knew she knew what she knew. Like I knew that she knew her company, the history, where they're going. And this was just a tweak around her level of embodiment and who she was being on the other end of that screen when she was presenting. So that's the other piece. Like if you're missing out on any of the somatic work, if you're not baking that into your strategy, then you're severely lacking, in terms of how you can up level and close time and accelerate things even faster. I think that covers the whole thing. I'm just looking back at the question. Clients that are fun to coach, that take action and get results. Yeah, that's the other thing. Ask them what kind of results they did or didn't get from a program in the past. What that will do is help illuminate the gaps on what they see as a challenge and struggle for where you could or couldn't help them. And you can either refer them out if you're not aligned, or maybe you let them know, hey, I can absolutely help you with this. But you'll also, again, see how they talk about their previous investments, coaches, and experiences, which could be a huge, either a red flag or a white flag for you. So Christine, thank you so much for bringing this question to the table. Such a good question. People ask me all the time how I went from charging $75 a month to $6,500 a month with clients. And I've been fortunate enough to be working with luxury brands for, gosh, almost 2 decades now, whether it be in advertising and personal training or real estate. The clientele that I've always really worked with have been more of the affluent zone, if you will. But how you talk to people will certainly attract different people. So be very mindful of your messaging. All right, guys. Well, keep it first class, and I'll see you here on the next episode.